Hey guys, Chris Grant here. Just a quick note about this video. It had to be chopped up just a little bit. I had a 2.5-year-old who was a touch on the cranky side that Dad was out in the garage working rather than playing trucks inside and watching Paw Patrol. So I apologize if there's anything that is missed. Please ask the question in the comments or shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to make sure we get you whatever information may have been missed in the video. Appreciate you guys watching, and again, any questions, leave a comment, and I will definitely get back to you. Thanks. All right, here we go. Well, I appreciate you taking some time, Todd. And for anybody who doesn't know, this is Todd Ryan. He's a fellow Amazon seller, and he also works full-time in the IT world, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Would you mind telling us maybe just a little bit about yourself and how you got into Amazon?
Yeah, I've been selling on Amazon as a non-hobbyist, I guess, since 2012. That was the first year that we really made a concentrated effort to sell. My first sale was in 2008. It was a book, back before I knew what Amazon was all about, and wish I'd taken advantage of it more back then, but I didn't. So in 2012, started with my first purchase was a bulk lot off of liquidation.com, which is probably one of the worst places to start off with on buying things. But I looked out, I bought some Super Mario stuff, and I listed on eBay, and I thought, well, it's selling kind of slow. I'll see how it does on Amazon. And I noticed it was selling for $5 to $6 more on Amazon. I was just merchant fulfilling. So then I started looking into Fulfilled by Amazon and sent my first order, and we got cranking in 2012. So 13 was my first full year. And we've managed to double so far. So obviously 2013 was bigger than 2012. 14 was double of 13. 15 was double of 14. Don't think we're going to double this year because we're still working out of the garage, and I'm just hitting some logistical problems. When you're in the garage or residential area, it's hard to do a lot of pallets without causing trouble. So
yeah,
have two employees. One is my eldest son. He works I'd say about 20 to 30 hours a week. And then we have two other really occasional employees that we call in for, whenever we get a big order, they'll come in the process for us.
Okay. Well, that actually segues really nicely into one of the questions that one of our group members had. And that is, one, do you get any pushback when you mention that you don't have a brick and mortar? And if you do, how do you overcome that?
I do, and there's two types of pushback. There is one that's the hard stop, I guess, which you will run into with Wizards of the Coast, which sells Magic cards. Asmodee, which sells board games. They've recently locked down their online selling program. Those types of vendors, they have a hard, fast rule where they will not, Wizards of the Coast will not sell to you unless you have a brick and mortar, and they require pictures of your storefront and 3 months worth of utility bills with the address and name. I mean, there's no pulling the fast one over on them. Asmodee, even if you have a brick and mortar store, they will only let you sell online if you pass their little process, which is really, you got to be a big player to sell. So for the ones that are hard stop, there really is no way around it. I mean, sometimes you can smoke them in the beginning, but you're going to eventually get caught, and I don't think it's a good idea to try to pull a fast one.
Yeah.
It's very common for me to get pushback as far as once you let them know you're an Amazon seller, because a lot of them have been burnt either selling directly to Amazon or with other Amazon sellers. So there's some salesmanship you have to do to convince them that you're a professional company. You have standards. You have always tell them I have a map enforcement tool, which is a repricer, but they don't really know what a repricer is as much as they know what map is. So
right.
I tell them I have software that guarantees that my price will never go below a minimum, and then I can monitor other competitors for them, which all that is a keep a price alert, which I set up. And so when it alerts me, I notify them. So that's kind of a value add service. Some of them on the application just ask, do you have an online store? What types of stores? One way that I kind of skirt it is if you occasionally sell at like a flea market or an open air market or any kind of so if I get a sense that they're not going to like online only, I tell them I do sell online, but we also do face-to-face selling, seasonal markets, open air, that type of thing. And that usually makes them happy. Most of them just seem afraid of eBay only or Amazon only sellers.
That makes sense. Your last answer is, I take it you have all your products sent to you rather than a pack and ship.
Yeah, we decided early on that we were only going to sell products that we could physically touch each product. So, we physically inspect them and repackage and, do whatever every product. So, yes, we handle everything that comes in.
Okay, and is that so you can make sure that the quality is there and nothing's passing by?
Yeah, one of the things, we've got a couple of exclusives on Amazon, and one of the selling points we use with them is our seller rating. So we try to maintain 100%, but as I'm sure every seller knows, you just cannot please everybody, regardless of what you do. So we usually stay at 99%, 99 to 100. So that's one of the things that when we're trying to get an exclusive, we tell them, we've been selling online since 2008, which is true. Our first feedback was in 2008 on Amazon. So we have 8 years of nearly flawless customer ratings, customer satisfaction, just kind of selling the story that their product is safe with us. So for that purpose, we check everything. I'm convinced, I can't prove it with empirical data, but I'm convinced we've kind of prevented a lot of returns by making sure, that lids are tightened. We have the little clear wafers that we'll put over flip tops sometimes, even if it's not required, poly bag. I mean, we kind of over package everything. One of the items that we have an exclusive on is a candle that's in a really beautiful glass jar that kind of doubles as a double wall old fashioned liquor glass. And they're soy, so they have a low melt point, but the way we package them, we've never had melt issues. We've not had a single one broken. We've sold over 500 probably in the past 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And they just never get broken. So we just, we spend that extra 30 cents in, Uline supplies per item just to make sure that the customer has a better experience.
Okay.
So that's just a stance we took.
Okay, that's a good idea. Let's see here. What was the other questions? Oh, and this is kind of a question I don't like to ask people, but
sure.
Buddy, that's a laser. If what categories do you focus on, or what categories would you suggest someone focusing on if they're just getting into wholesale?
I would. I'll qualify that question with if you have all your ducks in a row, and by that I mean you understand shipping guidelines and requirements, you have liability insurance, commercial liability insurance, you have all your licensing in place, then I would say that you could get into just about anything. If you're still a new seller and you don't have your commercial liability or permits or licenses, or you're not completely sure that everything's buttoned down, I would stay away from anything topical or ingestible, just because those are literally out 1 or 2 items. With wholesale, you're out of the case of 12 or 36 or a pallet. So the stakes are higher. So things like entertainment, which everybody gravitates towards toys, unless you know you're vertical enough to know that, hey, there's a new Star Wars coming out in October, and, Kylo Ren is going to be the hottest character, so I'm going to go deep on that character. Unless you have that level of knowledge, it's hard to know what to buy in wholesale because the margins are so thin and the competition is so tough. I've been, selling pretty heavily for the past 3 years, and I've got great relationships with my suppliers, but last year, my profit margin was 19.8% for the year for wholesale.
Okay.
So that's the kind of margin you're looking at. The flip side is other than checking the packaging, I don't ever scrape price tags off or have to run to 4 different Walmarts or go out in the rain. Everything shows up at my door and I sticker it and ship it. So that's the benefit. But the flip side is, you're buying in bulk with the same people that have 10 stores nationwide. They're buying in bulk, and, everybody else is buying that. And anything that Walmart sells in general, you can buy it at Walmart for about the same price you could buy at wholesale because they're discounting. So anything wholesale that Walmart also carries, you got to really, You need to get really do research, or you'll get burnt on those. So I would, to answer your question, 20 minutes later with a long answer, I would say start with something you like, and then just try to branch off from there. I've heard several people talk about follow the rabbit trail or whatever you want to call it, but I don't ever get a wholesale account without checking everything they carry. So if I find an item and find a wholesaler, like a pocket knife, like, hey, this is a great item, I'll find the wholesaler, get the pocket knife. I look at every knife they sell, every knife sheath, every knife sharpener, all the knife oil. You just go as wide as you can, because we've had success spending as much money as possible with each supplier. So spend $5,000 with one rather than $1,000 with five, because the deeper you go, the more attention you get, the better pricing you get, and you get favorable treatment. I tell the story all the time. I've got one of my suppliers. We do a lot of games and action figures and that type of thing. I've got a supplier that my sales rep will call me and say, "Hey Todd, this widget just came in. It's going to be really hot. I hid 2 cases under my desk for you if you want them."
Oh wow!
So she'll pull it out of the incoming shipment. They'll be constrained, and she'll hide it just because I try to spend every penny I have with her if there's anything available. And so she looks out for me on the flip side. I send a gift card at Christmas, and as I said on another webinar, these people are just working schmucks like us that are making $10-15 an hour peddling product. It's not their business. So you treat them like a human, throw them $50 worth of freebies once a year, and they will, treat you like gold just because no one else is doing that.
Right. So, interesting.
I try to go deep with every relationship I have rather than just going crazy on all of them.
Okay. Now that goes into another good question is, for guys who are just getting started in wholesale, what kind of minimum order quantities do you normally come up against?
The wholesale that I recommend to everybody, and I don't feel bad doing it because it's a very popular wholesaler, distributor, and they have so many products, and they don't really have a lot of good home run products, is Entertainment Earth. And at the roundabout way of answering your question, Entertainment Earth has a minimum order. I think their initial order is around $200, $250. It's fairly low. But Entertainment Earth is a great one to warm up with because they work with a ton of resellers. They are Amazon and eBay friendly. Some of their listings will say not for sale on Amazon, and they enforce MAP, but they don't run away when you say sell on Amazon. They're a professional, legitimate, long-term company, been there for years, based in California. They have about 18,000 products, so there's something for everybody. So it's a real safe and confidence-building process to get an account set with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I usually tell people to start with. Most of the wholesalers that I buy from, the minimum order, most of them have an opening order and a reorder amount. So the opening order is anywhere from, the lowest I've seen is 100. They're usually between 250 and 500. And then the reorder is, $100 to $200. They're usually a lot lower for a reorder.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. The only ones I've seen higher, believe it or not, are some of the liquidation companies will have a higher minimum order amount just because they're used to selling in trucks and pallets. But your straight up wholesaler or distributor is, a couple $100 basically.
Okay. Of course, other than just Googling toy distributor, are there any tips or tricks to actually go out and find a wholesaler or a distributor?
Yeah, it's and the difference, at least for me, definition-wise, is a wholesaler is typically a single product line or brand. Like a Hasbro would be a wholesaler. So if you want to buy a Hasbro wholesale, you would buy from, and I don't know if Hasbro sells direct, but you would buy from a wholesale. A distributor is someone who carries multiple product lines, but usually in one category. So Entertainment Earth is a distributor because if you want to buy an action figure, they have Hasbro action figures, but they also have McFarlane and 50 other brands. So they go wide in a category where a wholesaler just goes deep in one brand. So to find the wholesaler, there's a couple of sniff tests. You eventually learn the websites that come up in wholesale searches but aren't wholesalers, and those are DHgate, Alibaba, AliExpress, anything that says Wholesale Central or Wholesale America or Wholesale Sucker or whatever it is with wholesale in the name. They're usually not a wholesaler for whatever reason. So you kind of get used to weeding out who is a legitimate one, who isn't. But if I'm in doubt, the fail-safe way I always use is go to the corporate web page. So, for instance, Hasbro, if you want to find a Hasbro wholesaler, if they even have one, I go to Hasbro Inc. or Hasbro, the main page, go down to the Contact Us, and send a message. Hey, I'm a nationwide retailer, be interested in carrying your line of goods. Do you sell through a distributor or direct as a wholesaler, blah, blah, blah. And I've yet to have a company not respond. Most of them have a whole process set up to answer those kind of questions. So you'll get a legitimate, straight from the horse's mouth answer, if you can't find anything else. But most of the time, I've been able to find, I'd say at least 50% of the time, find the wholesaler. It's like hitting a pot of gold when I find a distributor, because you apply once, and I have one distributor with 26 different product lines.
Oh, wow.
So each one has its own product line with hundreds of products. So that's fantastic when you hit one of those.
Fascinating. Any other? I'm trying to think of what else here. That was most of the questions everybody asked.
Okay, and then primarily focused on wholesaling. Was that most of the questions?
Yeah, that's really what everybody wants to get into.
Okay, a couple things I tell people is, we talk about ducks in a row. At a minimum, you're going to need a reseller license, whatever your state calls that, but whatever it is, where you collect and remit sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are going to at least ask for a website. Very few of them require it, but they're going to ask for it. I use a free website. It's a single page. There's no products on it. I just have the logos for my product line, and I've never had a problem with that. So they're not wanting to go shop on your site. They're just wanting to make sure that you don't have some cheesy website, or you're not pointing it to your MySpace account or something weird like that. So
right.
I think I use Weebly, and between the website and the domain, it cost me maybe $15 a year. So I just stood something up. You want to make it sound legit. You don't use slang, vernacular. You just basically say, we are a nationwide retailer, that sells internationally. We have warehouse facilities in over 20 states. Just basically tell Amazon's story, but within your realm. Have your logo. I got my logo done on Fiverr for $15, and that's because I paid $5 extra for them to hurry. So I have a logo on there. I've never used business cards. I went to a couple shows, but even then, they just wanted to give me their business card and get my email. So I didn't really need the business cards other than to get into the show. But just get a reseller license, and I'd recommend a website. The other thing I recommend is to do either a script or a role play before you email or call, because it's kind of nerve-wracking. It's almost like a job interview. But I just sat down and wrote a list of questions that I was most afraid of hearing them say, like, why should we sell to you? You sound like you're doing this out of your garage. How do I know that, you're a legitimate business? Just all the stuff I didn't want to hear. And then I developed a response to that, typed it out, so that it sounded, legitimate, and I overcame whatever they were asking. And I just had that on a sheet of paper, and I had it with me when I called.
Okay.
Fortunately, that's never came up. But it gave me confidence when I called that if they were just flat out rude and said, like I said, you sound like some kid in his garage, are you sure, does your dad know you're using the phone? Kind of rejection. Then I could say, well, yeah, I realize it sounds like that, but we've been selling it for 3 years. We've fulfilled over 30,000 orders, and, you can really tell the story, and you have the data in front of you rather than going, stammering or. So, that's the only things I recommend is a script, and then just don't be afraid to call or email. Email works well, but if you're not getting an answer with email, don't be afraid to call and just ask to kind of speak to the person in charge of wholesale or distribution, or whatever you want to ask for, and don't be afraid to talk to them. You're going to get rejections. Some people want to do it themselves. I, for a while, was watching Shark Tank, and I would contact every person on Shark Tank that had a product that I thought I could sell on Amazon. Got a lot of rejections on that, because usually once they're that far in the process, they've got other people are trying to get their attention. But I had a couple that I made contact with and ended up doing some sales with and some deals with. Some of them I just did some consulting for, but
nice.
A quarter of them called me back, so that was worth my time at the time. So,
yeah, absolutely. Do you still do
anything
that?
you can think of, just approach somebody.
Do you still do that?
I don't, because it is a lot of work and a lot of money to take a product from never been on Amazon to selling well on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was I was investing a lot of money and time in someone else's product.
Mm-hmm.
So I would eventually break even and start making money, but it almost felt like it was a charity outreach because it was, all the risk was on me, all the time and money I was invested was on me, and it just, for a business, it wasn't a good decision.
Right.
So we kept a couple of people that we did exclusives with that we helped get on Amazon. One of them is right here in our town, and they're super people. It's two young ladies who started the business. I think they're in their early 20s when they started it, and just, my wife and I were just kind of got attached to them and wanted to kind of make sure they had a good experience. So that was more of a charity case for us that, is now making money.
Okay.
But other than that, if they're not on Amazon, there's just so many other things already on Amazon that we can latch on to that we don't mess with anymore.
Right.
But it's fun to do. I mean, if you have excess money and excess time, it's a blast to be the first one on.
Oh yeah.
I would just always make sure I get an exclusive. And everybody. And the way I would approach it, when I went and I met them at a show, one of these gift shows, freebie show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I approached it is I would just go up to the booth and say, hey, are you selling your product on Amazon? If they said no, I would tell them, well, I've got an offer to make you. I would love to be able to take care of everything, get your product on Amazon, take care of the pictures, description, advertising, do all the work for you. I said, or I'd be happy to, free of charge, show you how to list your product on Amazon yourself. And they say, really? And I'd say, yeah. I said, either way is fine. I said, if you want me to show you how to do it, I'd suggest setting aside between 10 and 12 hours and I would start going through the requirements. I need to show you that it has to pass a 3-foot drop test. If the opening of a bag is more than 4 inches, you have to have suffocation labels. Your poly bags have to be at least 2 milliliters thick. And I would just try to just overwhelm them with data until I saw their eyes kind of start to roll back, when someone's tuning you out.
Absolutely.
You want to push to the point where they're tuning you out, and that's why I stop and say, or free of charge, we'd be happy to do all that for you and list your product on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I only had one person take me up on wanting me to show them, and I actually went to their site, and within 5 minutes, they said, you know what, we changed our mind. Would you mind just doing it for us? Most of the time, people that invent products or create products are not into packing tape and bubble wrap and boxes, and it just doesn't. I don't have a creative bone in my body. These people don't have operational efficiency bones in their body. So
right.
If you could just convince them that it's such a horrible idea for them to do it themselves, they almost beg you to do it for them. And that's how we got our exclusives. And it's worked well. I made sure it wasn't a headache for them. We eat the returns, which is one of the value adds. And even when approached by Amazon, Amazon can't hold a candle to the deal you have with them because Amazon makes them buy back stock that doesn't sell. They have to eat the returns. They have to ship all over the country. I mean, it's a huge financial burden on new companies.
Mm-hmm.
We're very appealing because, we pay the same price as their other wholesale customers, and we take care of everything on Amazon. They never hear a peep. All they hear is the good things. And I'll send them, anytime we get good feedback, I'll send them the feedback.
Okay.
Hey, candle arrived in great condition, packaged very well. We love it. The scent's fantastic. Boom, I just emailed off. So that's kind of a constant reminder that, hey, I got Amazon. You don't have to worry about it. Go and do your thing. So
awesome.
It's working out well. But if and I explained to them too that it costs me, or will cost them around $150 a month to sell on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time you factor in repricing, sales tax collection, if you use listing software, accounting integration, all the stuff that you're going to need as a real business, air quotes, it adds up to about $150 a month, $40 professional seller, all that type of thing. So once you tell them it's $150 a month and at least 15 to 20 hours for me to teach you how to do it, then it's a very attractive offer to do it for free for them.
Right. I like that. That's kind of a good idea.
It sells itself, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. So I was going to take that somewhere, and of course I lost track. Oh well.
I was dumping words on you too fast. You didn't have a chance.
When it comes to getting a sheet from a wholesaler with pricing, what do you find to be the most efficient way to go through that to make a purchasing decision?
The problem is, out of all my wholesalers, I would say less than 10% can provide me a list of their products with UPC codes. Most of them are geared towards retailers where they have catalogs, paper catalogs, or if you're lucky, PDFs, or they have websites that do not have UPC codes. Entertainment Earth has UPC codes, and they're one of the few that can give you a list if you don't mind the spreadsheet with 18,000 lines in it.
Yeah.
And when they do give you a UPC code, they usually give it to you in a spreadsheet where the UPC column is set to number format, so it strips out the zeros on the beginning.
Great.
So even then, you have to do gyration. So most of the time, I don't have the luxury of having a sheet with UPC codes. Most of the time, it's just a regular website, and it's just old, click and search. It's just trudging through it, basically. They do give me a list of UPC codes. Then any one of the packages, really, Ecom Spy, Scan Power Evaluate, CyberMonkey has Scan Sheet. There's 100 different services where you can upload UPC, and cost, and it will tell you Amazon selling price and profit and that type of thing, so you can quickly analyze it.
Okay.
Other than that, it's just onesie twosie, and that's where, again, knowing your vertical helps. If you're into kitchenware, you're going to know that Royal compared to Tefal and Cuisinart, you're going to know to go look at the Cuisinart first, and then Tefal, and then Royal, because you kind of narrow it down that way.
Right.
That's what I said about going deep. I just consider it a time investment to just go through as much as I can, at least till I spend all my money going through the products, and then you'll eventually learn what sells. And that's why I'm a huge believer in having like a replenishment process on the back end, because that makes your effort count for as long as possible. If you have something telling you what to reorder.
Right. That's good. That's a good idea. Anything I haven't asked that I should ask?
The big thing I've been harping on with everybody I talk to, and there's actually a group of us sellers, their mission is to work on getting you out of your business. You're good at one piece of your business, but there's pieces of your business that you're bad at, basically. And for me, I'm very, very competitive, emotionally competitive person. So when I was doing my own repricing, I was my worst enemy, because I was not going to lose a buy box or lose a sale, come heck or high water. I was constantly in there tinkering with the prices, chasing the buy box, and I was messing up my sales. Same with the replenishing. I'd see a product, a Batman figure that I thought, man, that's really cool. People are going to love it. I would send it. It wouldn't sell. It would go on sale with my distributor. And I think, well, I know it's eventually going to sell, so I'm going to buy it while it's on sale, bring my average cost down. Or I get a product that I was just attached to, and I just thought I needed to keep a lot in stock, even though it wasn't selling, because I like that product. I thought it should be selling, which the numbers didn't support it. So the best thing I did, and the only way we've been able to double each year, is there's only one part of the process I'm involved in, and that's sourcing. So that's kind of what I'm good at business-wise, is finding products that have a decent ROI or profit, or that may become popular and may have decent ROI profit. So I find those products. After I order them, that's the last time I see or touch that product, because once it's received, my employer or employees receive it, check it in, sticker it, and ship it and get it to Amazon. Then they set it up in the repricer. I give them pricing guidelines. They look at the buy box. We have a minimum profit that we'll make on the item, and then we have a maximum that we put in just to keep from flagging a pricing error.
Mm-hmm.
Then no one looks at the price again. And then we have a replenishment package that goes out and looks at sales over the past 90 days, once it's been on there for 90 days. But even initially, the first week, it looks at them. It looks at the sales, it looks at our costs, it looks at the buy box price, and it projects out how many we're going to sell for the next 30 days, and also looks at how long it takes me to get that product in. So I go in once a week or once every other week on some suppliers, choose that supplier, and it tells me what to reorder. So if something's not selling, I don't reorder it. If something's selling hot, I order more of it, but I don't go and look at each product and, let my emotions come into play and tweak the values and throw something in. I just order what it tells me to order, and it goes right back in the process again. So it's just a machine just based on pure math, start to finish, once the product's actually ordered.
That's a great idea.
And that's done wonders for us. And, we go in once a quarter, And anything that's old and not selling, we make a decision: are we going to liquidate and dump it, and then I go into replenishing software and say non-replenishable, or are we going to give a little more time and kind of kick it? But we only look at the problem children. We don't look at the ones that are performing. Okay. And then same replenishment software will say, hey, these are slugs. These aren't profitable. These aren't moving. These have been here too long. They'll give me all those tools I need to be able to decide which ones I need to do something with.
Fascinating.
And then I stay out of it other than that.
You mind plugging the software you use?
I've used, there's for replenishing, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've used, there's 1, 2, 3 that are out that are affordable. And by affordable, I mean less than $1,000 a month. All the tools I use are in the affordable range. There's Restock Pro, which the website is restockpro.com. There is Forecastly, which is forecast, FORECAST.LY, so Forecastly. And there's one called Inventory Planner. Each one of them have their own pros and cons or benefit for different people. Restock Pro, what sets it apart from the other two is it has the capability to do bundles and kits. So if you do like a lot of bundles and kits where you sell like a spring garden kit, that's a bucket, dirt, shovel, and fertilizer, Restock Pro will let you set that up and say, hey, this garden kit is made up of these 4 items. And here's where I get them, and here's what they cost me, and here's the case quantity. So when it tells you to restock, it says, okay, you need 5 shovels, so order 6 because I know your case count is 6. You need 8 bags of dirt, et cetera. So it'll break it out for you. All the other ones, it just says, hey, you need 8 garden kits. So you got to figure out, which pieces you have to assemble more kits, if any, that type of thing. And case counts don't apply because they don't know that you're ordering a case of 6 shovels. They just think it's 6 more gardening kits.
Right.
So if you do a lot of bundles and kits, Restock Pro really shines in that area, and they're the cheapest. They're $39.99 a month the last time I checked. And I'm not affiliates for any of these, so I'm just quoting your base price.
Mm-hmm.
Their GUI or UI, or I call UI as far as the colors on the screen and the menu layout stuff. It's kind of cheesy, real bright colors. Not really my favorite. So I would say that's the worst UI. Forecastly doesn't have the ability to generate purchase orders. Restock Pro will actually generate the purchase orders. Forecastly won't do that, and also doesn't do bundles or kits, and it doesn't really work well with keeping stock back local. But Forecastly has some really great analytical tools. It's the one that will tell you how much inventory, basically your financial load based on the amount of time inventory has been sitting there. So it'll say like you have $3,473 your cost worth of inventory that's been there for more than 120 days. You have $8,000 that's been there for more than 60 days. They'll kind of show you what your stale inventory is costing you, how much capital is freed up. It'll also tell you the current value of your inventory at the end of every month or at any point in time. So that's great when you're doing your taxes. If you forget to run your report at midnight on Amazon, you can go back and pull December 2015, and it will tell you at the end of the month exactly what you had in inventory at Amazon.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and it also has a inbound shipment tracker, which it's manual, but it's very useful in that once you prepare a shipment to Amazon, it knows the cost because you told it what each thing costs, and it watches as Amazon checks it in, and it shows you the cost of items that you have in your shipping plan or your shipping manifest, I guess, that weren't checked in by Amazon. So, Amazon will go in and check, 83 out of 85 items in, and they'll close the shipment, even though there's 2 missing, and not say a word. But Forecastly, it shows that Amazon says it's closed, but it also shows an outstanding cost of $13 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go in there and either mark it closed once that price is 0, or you can go in there and notate the ticket number with Amazon, what's missing, what you've been done, kind of keep notes on each individual shipment ID until it's completely resolved.
Oh, nice.
So if you don't want to pay for something to do that automatically, which are tools that will, that's a great way of just making sure that nothing slips through the cracks. And then once you mark it closed in Forecastly, it rolls off your screen, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's been super useful that I've really liked. And Forecastly also allows you to prioritize restocking, which has been beneficial because Forecastly has 3 levels of restocking. They have Do not run out of stock for any reason. Super urgent, and that would be for like private label or exclusives, where if you're out of stock, Amazon's out of stock, so your sales rank plummets.
Mm-hmm.
They have, pretty important, keep it in stock, and those are the ones that are your bread and butter. Everybody has their handful of replenishables that make money on them. Those are the ones that you'd rather keep in stock if at all possible. It's not the end of the world if it's not, but you don't want to lose out on that, gravy train. And then they have the low where, if it runs out, it's not a big deal. I'll get to it when I can, that type of thing. So you can prioritize each product, how critical it is to keep it in stock. And then the third and final one is inventory planner, which that one is more of a bare bones. It's almost meant more for retail, like regular retail stores, because they use a lot of retail terms that, a lot of Amazon stores aren't familiar with. So you'll be Googling some terms to understand what they're showing with these numbers. Heavy on the analytics. Everything is based on revenue targets. So basically, they're saying, based on your last month, here's what you would have to spend in restocking at that same revenue target. And here are the things that aren't selling that's dragging down your ability to spend, that's preventing you from hitting that target. So it's kind of a very holistic, high-level view. If you have a fairly stable suite of products that you just replenish, it would be a great tool because you can accurately predict revenue based on this, based on it telling you what's going to sell and what you have to spend. All of them show you a sales velocity, which is basically based on the sales of the past 30, 60, 90 days, wherever you choose, and they use that to predict how fast it's going to sell, and all of them let you tell it how long it takes for you to order, receive, and get back to Amazon the product. So they build in the buffer, and they just do that. They use that to do the math to say, hey, you have to order this because you'll be out of stock in 17 days, and you told us it takes you 14 days to get it there. So here's what you ordered to have 30 days in stock, basically.
Interesting. And any repricer that you would suggest over another?
I was an App Eagle customer for about a year and a half, and I was even grandfathered in with their pricing. But I'm a kind of a Don Quixote when it comes to software. I like charging windmills that aggravate me. And App Eagle just made me so mad when they jacked the price up and stripped functionality out that I just couldn't get over it. They had, about 4 years ago, they had an issue with the repricer where they repriced a bunch of stuff to a penny. They were the first one that had that happen. And then less than a year later, or right at a year later, they raised the price from, $30 a month to $100 a month. And they removed some of the features out that were in the $30 a month plan. So they tripled the price, basically, for new customers. And I was grandfathered in, but I was torn because I couldn't recommend them because it wasn't worth that price, I didn't think.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just so steadfast about sticking with that price model. I took my toys and went home. I got mad at them. So I started looking at other repricers. I looked at 21 different repricers, eval them, checked them out, went through it top to bottom. For me, right now, the best one I could find was Be Cool, which is BQOOL. Referred a lot of people to them. They're $25 a month. And in my tests, anyway, they had all the features I needed from App Eagle at $25 a month. The only thing they don't have is eBay repricing, which is kind of a myth anyway, because if it's not in the catalog, it's not going to reprice.
Right.
But they don't have eBay repricing, but they actually price faster than App Eagle was repricing. So my stuff reprices on average around every 15 to 20 minutes, which is pretty fast. Most of the time reprices are 30 minutes to an hour, or you pay a large amount for immediate or continuous, which is really 3 to 5 minutes. But they have every rule situation I cover or I need. They've been reliable and stable. I haven't had any issues with them, and they're $25 a month. For me personally, once I hit $1 million a year or $750,000 a year, there's a different tier of repricers that I would move into. Those are like the Feedvisors, the Techometrics. Really, those are the big two I'm interested in. I would move into those at that point, but right now I'd say for the 500,000 or less seller, Be Cool is about the best choice.
Okay.
For people that are just starting out, and by starting out I mean they're struggling with the $40 a month Amazon Pro seller fee, I recommend reprice it because that's $9.99 a month. It's a real good introduction to repricing. It's pretty safe. It runs on the schedule. It works for most situations. And I tell them it's not hard to see an additional $10 in revenue with a repricer. So it's easy to justify, get your toe wet. Most of the time, most people that try that out, about a month before fourth quarter is when they make the jump, because then they worry about, I can reprice 4 times a day on the schedule. What am I missing? So then they move to, be cool. There's other repricers that are good. Kiwi Apps is a very interesting repricer, and that's KIOUIAPPS. It's a French company. What's neat about them is that a lot of sellers put their cost in their SKU. So if they buy something at Walmart, it'll be Walmart-Nerf Ball-0500 because it's $5. Kiwi Apps is the only repricer I know that will look at your SKU for the cost and automatically populate your cost field.
Interesting.
Which is a huge time savings if you do that. I don't personally do that for a variety of reasons, but I know a lot of sellers do. So for me, that'd be the first repricer I looked at. It's very inexpensive. They do a nice job. Depending on what you like, they hide a lot of the bells and whistles and leverage for the rule from you. So you basically say, hey, you have a slider that goes from get this crap out of here to I want top dollar for it. And you just adjust the slider, and that dictates how aggressive it is on the repricing, which I think is good for newer sellers because the rules can be very confusing. So, if you were just looking at repricers and you had your costs in the SKU, the Kiwi Apps would be, I think, a good choice because most of the work's done for you at that point. Mm-hmm. All you can do is put in your minimum maximum price. If you own several patents, or you're a chemical engineer, or you're a super smart kind of wizard, Channel Max, or if you're the type that takes apart everything you buy to see how it works and then puts it back there and improves it, Channel Max is a great choice. They're $20 or $25 a month, and they have, I believe, close to 100 different settings for a repricing rule. I mean, if you can think of it, it's in there, but it is obtuse. I mean, it's not in language for mortals. It is in programmer language. But you can literally say, if the price goes up $5 at 7:38 on the Monday, then change my price to this. That's how granular you can get it. So if you're that guy, then Channel Max is great for you.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah, me neither. If you stick your fingers in your ear and go, la, 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 I just want to reprice, then probably Kiwi Apps is closer. If you're somewhere in the middle, then Be Cool is a good choice.
Okay.
But all of them have free trials, and the GUI or the UI is an integral part because you're going to be using it every day, and if it makes you mad, it's no good. So I tell people, pick 2 or 3 and try them, because all of them will allow you to reprice just one of your items. You don't have to do everything. So I say pick 3, set up to reprice a different item on each one, and just see what you think. You're not going to go too far.
Absolutely. Just for the non-tech folks or non-nerds out there, GUI and UI are user interface. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's a good point. Sorry.
Two more questions. I'll let you get back to your family.
Yeah, no problem.
One is shoot. I'm thinking faster than I'm supposed to. Do you do any coaching or anything like that?
I don't, for a couple reasons. One, I'm opinionated, and I feel like I would lose my ability to complain bitterly about things I don't like if I was coaching. Because with coaching inevitably goes affiliates, and you kind of get on the leash. I've been in IT for 27 years. I've been on the leash long enough. People know that when they ask me a question, I'm going to give my honest opinion, and if they like it, then they go with it. If they disagree, I'm not motivated by money, so it's not going to hurt my feelings.
Okay.
And 2, I don't feel, and I'm never the guy that's going to stand up and say I'm the smartest guy in the room. So I don't feel, and I don't know that I would ever feel, that I am qualified enough to coach someone else on their business. From my viewpoint, I feel like I'm winging it every day. That's why I have processes set up, and I feel like I'm just a very fortunate man that my business is doing as well as it could. And being ultra hyper competitive, it would be devastating to me if someone's business didn't just explode after they paid me to coach them. So I just don't want that pressure, to be honest with you.
I can understand.
I'm happy to answer any questions on Facebook or Messenger or anything. If people don't mind free advice, I'm happy to do that. But I'm not at the point where I want to put a dollar tag on my mouth, basically.
Well, I can appreciate that. All right, so that overturns the second question because you won't have a website or anything we can plug.
No.
But would you mind if I go ahead and add you to our group and
Not at all.
Just let people know that you're there?
Yeah, and like I said, just tag me if you ask a question. If we're not friends, I probably won't get back to you maybe for a couple of days, because that, Facebook, I have to go check in a different folder. If we're not friends, I get message. So I've got more friends on Facebook than I will ever have in real life. So they'll be afraid to friend me and message me. Don't worry about when you message me, because if I can't answer, I won't answer, but I'll answer when I can. So just throw it out there whenever you want. But yeah, that works for me.
Great.
So nothing to plug or promote, which is unusual, but you'll get an honest answer out of me at least.
Yeah, that's good enough for me. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'll post this video, I add you to the group, and then yeah, that'll be it. Yeah, let's see if anybody has any questions.